AI art and image generation is absolutely booming at the moment, but traditional art is still going strong, and these are often viewed as separate, but what would happen if we were to combine the two? So today I'm going to create like a movie poster using both traditional methods and AI art, and I'm going to show you some of this process. And the tool I'm going to use is OpenArt AI, which is today's video sponsor. There's a link in the description, but we'll get more into that as the video goes along. So step one is I'm going to create a character. I'm going to run with a robot of some sort. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to draw this robot with the good old-fashioned pencil and paper to see what we come up with. And then we're going to use some OpenArt AI's tools to take it to the next level. And this is what I've ended up drawing. And I'm not a professional illustrator. I am an artist and a graphic designer, but this is a little bit rough in some areas, but overall I think it's nice and neat and probably a good test of OpenArt AI's tools. So now we're going to try out sketch to image. So I'm going to start by going to OpenArt AI and log in. And you can see we get our home page here with a few different options. There's the stock image transformer and a bunch of things here. There's sketch to image here, or on the left, sketch to image. I'm going to click on that. And to get started, we just simply need to upload our image. So I'm going to click on this area here. I've got my image here. I'm going to upload. And now I simply come down and explore some of the options here. And if you don't have an image, you can actually start with one of these, but I'm going to give it a description. So I've put a powerful robot samurai cyborg holding a sword. Maybe add in there high detail, 8K, just to give it more to it. And we can adjust the similarity. I'm actually going to give it a little bit of freedom because the sketch was slightly rough. I can go to creative or similar. We'll start with similar and see how we go actually. And we can choose one of these profiles. And there are a few more styles that we can choose from. So I can go for vector art if I want to create something that looks like vector art, or interior design, fantasy. But I'm going to come back here because what I want is photorealistic. I want to see what we can get out of this image. We can pick a color theme. I'm going to go for, actually I'm going to choose something like this sort of indigo color just to see what we get. We'll go for 2 images and let's click create to see what OpenArt AI creates for us. So we've got these 2 images here. I can click and view, and I think that looks pretty good. We can go across, also looking pretty cool. And we can also upscale this, but I think I might refine it just a little bit more. I'm going to actually turn off the color theme altogether. I'm going to go up to creative and see where it goes from there. And now we've got 2 more, which I'll click on. I really like this. This one doesn't look too bad. And I did play with a bunch more, but coming back to it, this was my favorite of the lot. And if I want to upscale, I can go down here and click 4 times, which I have. I click on that, it upscales it. Now I go up here to download. Then I have my upscaled image. It's about 3000 by 4000 pixels roughly. So high resolution to work with. Now let's move on to step 3. In this step, what we're going to do is find a background, and we're actually going to convert it to something that suits our image. So I've gone to pexels.com because I'm not a photographer, but I can search for empty city streets. And I'm going to find an image that we can use to convert to the background. So we want something with a good layout. Something like this I think looks pretty good. So we're going to download this image and work with that over on OpenArt AI. I'm going to hit download. Now I've also opened up this image in Photoshop because I don't want it to be quite as tall. I do also want it to be cropped. So I'm going to quickly grab my crop tool, give it a ratio of 16:9 because I want it to have that kind of widescreen television style ratio. Bring that into position, tick. And now I'm going to save that image to upload into OpenArt AI. So we're back at OpenArt, and what we're going to do is use the stock image transformer to change the image into something we want to use. Once again, on the left here, I can upload my image. I scroll down and I give it a description. I've got a futuristic city with glowing neon lights, nighttime, robots, and futurism, photorealism. I'm going to keep the creativity somewhere in the middle because I do want it to be transformed a bit. We want to create 2 images, and it's as simple as that. We've got some simple options here. I hit create. So we've got our 2 images here. We've got this one and this one. This one having a bit more ground I think will be better for what we're trying to do. So I actually not want to upscale this straight away. I'm going to go over here to edit. I'm going to make some edits to this image. So I can change my brush size, and I have a canvas editor here. So I'm going to select this, select that. I want to remove the text. I'm just going to put in here glowing cyberpunk lights. And I can also change the generation down here. I've got some options. So I can, number of images to choose from. Let's go 3. I can change some scales here. I can change the sampler. If you know what you're doing, you can go through and change some of these tips. I can also switch to stable diffusion 1.5. So let's just do that and hit generate. So now we have a few options we can try. I can either go down here or simply cycle through with these arrows. This first one probably looks the best. I might make a few more adjustments later. Otherwise, I'm going to confirm. So I can collapse this. And I have my most recent image here as a generation I can click on. We've got the original image as well. But I'm going to upscale it by 4. And now download that image. So we cut to Photoshop, and you can see here now I have both elements here to start overlaying, but what we're going to do is actually work a little bit further and add a little bit more to this image. But what we're going to do next is add in another human character to ground the image a little. This time I'm going to go to Custom Stock People Photos, because we're going to create our own custom character to put with the robot. So we can specify characters like a baby, a boy. So you've got all these different sort of options you can add. I'm just going to say a man, and ethnicity we're going to go random, and a description. I like the idea of cyberpunk for this. I'm going to go cyberpunk soldier and then collapse down. And the activity, I'm going to say standing ready for battle, something like that. So we've got some options here, a little bit of activity. Optional, describe the location. I'm going to say in the city streets. We want a full body shot, so you can control the framing. We're going to go full body. We're not going to worry about a reference image for now. The aspect ratio, because I want it to be full body, I'm going to go not so much square, but tablet size, something that's tall but gives them a bit of space to move within. And I'm going to click create. So we've got 2 images here, and he's sort of cut off at the feet, but the next one, I think the character looks not too bad. And they've actually used a facial scanner to improve the facial features. So again, I'm going to upscale that by 4, but with the face filter. I'm going to leave that at default, and then I'm going to download that version. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to combine some of these elements together. But before I do that, I want to create something that will actually tie the image together a bit. So where it says create from scratch, I'm going to click on that. Because what I want to do is create like a bit of smoke or mist to kind of overlay or sort of mix into that scene. I'm going to say mist and smoke. And I have all of my usual options here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. We have image to image, control net, or our generation configuration. I'm going to go for 3 images this time. The aspect ratio, we're going to go 16:9 to match our background. And we can change the steps. Let's bring the steps up to 30. And we're going to use the OpenArt creative model. But you see how you got a lot of different options. There's also upscale and enhance. I'm not really too concerned about that right now. Let's just create this image. So the images I've got here aren't what I was after, but it could be more to do with the fact that I didn't describe it very precisely. I was a little bit vague. So now we're going to go smoke on a black background. And as the negative prompt, I'm going to put buildings, tree, and land because I don't want it to show up. Hit create. This first image, I feel like that's definitely something that we can use. So I'm going to upscale that. Okay, so now we have all of the elements here in Photoshop, and I can combine these. So if you think of digital art or Photoshop as being a traditional form of art, that's cool. You may not actually think that, but. So I'm going to place all these elements into Photoshop. I'm going to sort of lay them out. I'm going to cut them out and sort of place them where I want them in the scene. But I'm not going to go through every single step of how to do this. I will summarize it, but if you want to know more, I have a video dedicated to the skills you can use in Photoshop to combine AI art together. So that will be at the end card and a link in the description below. So some elements do need to be blended in using some things like layer blends and blend if, but also because of the really harsh lighting on the robot, I'm going to turn some of these signs here into lights on the lamppost just by painting a bit of white in there with the brush in order to get it to stand out a bit better. But I am going to refer to some traditional photography to also help blend some of these elements together. Now I've just hopped across to Pexels because we're going to grab another photo, and we've got something like this, which I think is perfect. And then I'm going to pop it in with a screen blend mode and just sort of pop it behind the characters. Also going to remove some of it from around the feet so it doesn't look too sort of out of place. And then we'll also actually layer a little bit of it in front of the character as well. So that way we get this nice atmospheric look over our scene. I will also just try to create a little bit of a shadow coming from them before I overlay that mist. I now add that mist layer again, and I'm just going to move it, position it in front of the characters without sort of interfering with them, but also adding just that sense of depth. Add a subtle glow near the lights. Now I also noticed that our original smoke didn't blend too well, so I got rid of it, but there's something funny happening with the building right here. So I'm going to head back to OpenArt AI to fix that particular area of the image. I'm going to go into my creation history and open up that most recent image. So I am going to go to edit down here. I'm just going to select this part of the building. I'm going to type in Windows. Once again, we have some options. We'll upscale and save. And now I import and replace that area of the building. And now that we have all those pieces in place, I'm actually going to do a few things to blend that image together. So now I add what is called a color lookup sort of layer over the top of the image, and it helps kind of like blend all those colors together in one sort of hit. And I'm also going to add a little bit of a dark border around the edges just to frame it up a little bit. However, I'm also going to adjust it so that the lights can shine through and it has a bit more of a natural overall finish. Now I want to add a logo, but I'm not happy with it. So I'm going to use creative variations to try and change that logo. So I'm going to head over to creative variations here. I'm going to upload a very basic logo I've made for the video so we can improve it. Come down, I'm going to say logo with dripping ink running from the edges to give it a more artistic look. I'm going to leave it on creative because I want it to sort of modify that logo a little bit. I'm going to say white and blue on black background. I'm going to hit create, and it hasn't actually made a huge difference to it. So I'm going to pop this up to very creative and try again. And now we got something a little bit different. And while I like both of these, I think I will stick with this one right here. So let's upscale and download. And now I'm going to bring this logo back in. I'm going to pop it in the corner and add a screen layer blend. Put a bit of text there like AI art guy or something like that. I'm going to change the font, make it white. I'll turn the text sideways just to make it look a little bit funky. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of black into the background just to get it to stand out. And then we basically have our logo. And now we have our sort of movie poster made from traditional drawings and photography, and then using AI to sort of improve that. And then of course using our Photoshop skills to bring it all together. And again, thanks to OpenArt AI for sponsoring this video. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you found it interesting. If you did, please consider giving the video a like and check out OpenArt AI. There is a link in the description below. Otherwise, thanks for watching the video. We've covered a lot in a short amount of time, and I appreciate you taking the time to check it out. Have a great day. See you again next time.